everyone, welcome back to Misericorde. And the last time we left off, well, Hedwig threw up everywhere, and now she's in a bath thanks to Darcy and Moira. And I guess she is gonna enjoy her time after the bath. Anyway, let's just see what happens this episode. Even if I was not completely refreshed in spirit, the bath certainly did wonders for me physically. I could no longer count each individual bone in my body aching. At the very least, the noon bell rang. I stood up in the bath, scanning around for a towel of some sort. I spotted one, a simple piece of linen cloth, folded next to the habit Moira had washed for me. I stepped out of the bath while the bell was still ringing and dropped to my knees, resting my elbows against the edge of the tub with my hands clasped together. Is she praying? I began reciting the Psalms for sext. I'm assuming sext and whatnot are the hours of the day. Canticum graduum et lavavi oculos meos the habitas in Caeli. I feel like I totally 100% butchered that, but we are just gonna roll with it. Hello? I wheeled around with a start, twisting into an uncomfortable position, attempting to cover my shame and turn to face my visitor at the same time. Oh goodness, I'm so sorry. I was just coming to collect you for luncheon. It's alright, I was just reciting the office. Really? Which one? Sext. The noon office. Do you not... She seems awfully, concerned that they are not. Oh, yes. Well, since we break for luncheon at midday, we roll that one into prime. This was deeply embarrassing for several reasons. I rose to my feet, strategically covering myself. Moira politely held a hand in front of her eyes. Did I interrupt it then? In the chapel? I would never blame you for it in that sense, but I began drying myself off with the towel, pressing it against my hair gently and hastily running it along my body. I must confess that I'm a little behind on all the offices today. I slept through matins as well. Matins? Oh, don't worry yourself about that. We roll matins into prime as... Seriously? Everything is rolled into one. What? I flung the towel to the ground in shock, so dismayed I was. Moira, still holding her hand in front of her face, let out a nervous giggle. It's fairly normal as far as I know. We have morning prayer and evening prayer. If we spent all day following the hours to the letter, we never get anything done. Or any sleep at all. Were you really getting up in the middle of the night to pray? Oh goodness, did she? Yes, oh goodness, poor thing. And dropping everything to recite psalms throughout your day? Yes. Well, I guess she doesn't really have anything to do inside her little cell, so I guess it kind of makes sense. My goodness, that's so unfair. The superior never told you about how monasteries condense the hours? The bishop didn't either? No. I find it hard to believe, to be perfectly honest. How often do you take communion? Whenever the bishop is here, so... every few months or so? This almost knocked me back onto the floor. I was used to receiving communion once a season, but I had been under the impression that I was a unique case. My needs differed from the rest of the sisters. I had been in a permanent and all-encompassing relationship with God. These women did not seem to have the same devotion. I finally remembered that I was standing there like a fool and began to put my fresh clothes on. They smelled and felt lovely. Little dried leaves fell out of the sleeves and robe as I lifted them. Mints, perhaps? I bent down to pick one of them up after I slid the cloak over my head. Those are from our garden. Aren't they nice? Extremely so. You really don't recite the hours as written? This isn't... I don't know, a prank? Why would I pull a prank on you? I have no idea. The superior just put the idea in my head, I suppose. At morning prayer... Oh, of course. Laura's the one to watch out for. She's full of youthful vigor. Or Darcy. Or... well, Catherine. Or Margaret. Literally, everyone. She looked sheepish. I can see why you might be wary of practical jokes. But please, believe me when I tell you that condensing the hours into morning and evening prayers is a fairly standard around monasteries these days. In fact, I think it might have been for a long while now. I supposed I'd have no way of knowing otherwise. And it's accepted? I don't think anyone's ever gone to hell for rearranging their calendar, if that's what you're asking. Are you dressed now? Just about. Moira lifted her hand from her eyes. Now would you look at that? Fresh as anything. Thank you very much for washing them. Oh, don't mention it. Hopefully you're feeling a bit better now. Once we get some lunch in you, you'll be good as new, I reckon. I'm looking forward to it, but This might sound silly, but if I go to evening prayer tonight and do the rest of the hours, I still won't have caught up. Would you mind if I at least finished sext? No, not at all. Thank you very much. Exi sicut oculi servorum in manibus dominarum suorum. I've never actually prayed for an audience, hehe. Would you like me to join you? Yes. That'd be lovely, actually. Moira beamed and walked over to the tub I had been using. She kneeled as I had been kneeling earlier, and I joined her. A pleasant scent of the leaves in the bath still lingered above the water. Sicut oculi and chile in manibus domine sue. Ita oculi nostri ad dominum dum nostrum donec miseretur nostri. We completed the liturgy and left in silence. I felt bolstered by the light of prayer, and the bath and fresh clothes had left me feeling warm and content. Moira strode in front of me, leading me to the rectory. When we arrived, I took a deep breath. Bathing and prayer rejuvenated my body and spirit, but I was still nervous about facing everyone. Both because of the harrowing events of the morning, but because of my mission. I hadn't forgotten. I just had no idea how to begin. The rectory was a long room with a high ceiling. A large, aged table, already laden with plates, ran the length of the room. All the other sisters were there, and the superior was standing at the head of the table, appearing to hold court. Ah, wonderful. Are you feeling any better? Yes, very much so. Moira beamed and gently guided me to the foot of the table where a stool was waiting. Oh, I couldn't. Please, sit, so that everyone may be introduced to you. Properly, this time. Oh no, that's sad. It's just a little bit mean because she already did her introduction before. This was the last thing I wanted, to be perfectly honest. But I obeyed. You smell nice. Darcy is so cute. Thanks. You have already met Sister Darcy, of course. She tends to garden and livestock and is something of an alchemist. Oh, another alchemist in our hands. I prefer the title Alchevisionist. I wonder what it means. Of course. Sitting next to her is Eustace. Charmed. Eustace here is our sacristan and librarian. We actually have a great many rare books stored here that need to be taken care of. And read, most importantly. Not all of them have been catalogued. I am sure you and Eustace will get to know each other very well. She will be of great use to you as our new chronicler. This is Sister Flora. She's our youngest oblate. She's 17. I'm 19. Are you really? My goodness, time flies. I wish. I've been stuck here for 5 years now. 19, so since she was 14? Now really. Stuck? Yes. Stuck. She has an attitude. But I'm sure no one wants to be stuck here against their own will. Well, she has not yet found her calling, but the youthful spirit of rebellion gives Flora the energy to help out with various tasks around the Abbey. You have met Moira already, of course. Yes, indeed. Moira is our infirmary, but also serves as our chamberlain and our hosteler. On the rare occasions we have visitors. I'm the closest thing to a doctor here without, well, being a doctor, you know? Yes, I think I can tell. Without having a man here, you mean? And thank goodness for that, A polite laugh went around the table. Oh, something interesting. On your right, Hedwig, is Sister Martha. Martha had actually had many roles here, even before I was the prioress? Oh, she looks a bit old. She was the chronicler before our last, and has also been our cantor. You can just say that I'm old. It's no secret. I wouldn't dream of it. You have much wisdom and many surprises left in you, Sister Martha. What do you do nowadays? I try to enjoy what's left of my life, dear. You run the cellars, you mean? I said what I said. And a damn fine job of running the cellar you do, I'll say. This is Sister Charity, who is rather fittingly our head almoner. Although there's not much to be done around here, I'm afraid. So I mostly strive to do the same as Martha here. You help in the cellars? I enjoy life. Next is Sister Margaret. We've already met. Margaret is another almoner, and also helps in the cellars. I'm a presenter as well. I helped Catherine a lot with her writing. Catherine with a C. Margaret is very talented. She was also our first foreign oblate. Thank you very much for explaining that on my behalf, Soup. What's going on? Anyway, it's not completely true. It is completely not true, in fact. Ah, Sister Adela. Adela, okay. I thought you were born in Spain. I indeed was born in Spain, which is another country. I was born in Spain as well. What I meant was, this should be good. You actually know where I was born, Soup? Don't call me that. And of course I do. You are first oblate from outside the usual. Here, she doesn't know a thing. The typical sphere of people who devote themselves to monastic life. The whole world's a sphere, Your Reverence. That is so true, Darcy. I'm just a nun doing my little part to spread the faith around the whole globe. Which is the entire purpose of being one, or so I'm told. I'm Irish. I wish I could give them accents. I cannot, so... That's wonderful, Moira. Everyone is foreign, and the superior doesn't even know that. I apologize. I did not mean to offend. I simply meant... No offense taken, Soup. I'm sure Hedwig knew what you meant. Well. Tough act to follow. You have of course met Catherine. Her name is spelled with a K, but when we were speaking, we referred to her as Catherine the First. Oh. Or is it Catherine? Oh, okay, yes. Catherine the First. Our old chronicler was called Catherine II. We had a little contest for it, and Catherine I was very gracious in defeat. A crying shame what happened to her. Catherine is our... Come to think of it, Catherine, what is your title? I dabble. Oh, she doesn't even state what her title is. This is Sister Adela. She was actually our newest oblate, before you decided to join a congregation. That's right. Oh, she seems like a fun one. It feels good to move up a rank. Adela has not also really settled into her role yet. Like Flora, she helps out wherever she can. And finally, Angela. We have met already. I gulped. I am the prioress. My second in command. Oh. We sat in silence for a moment. I'm from Wales. That's so cute. Thank you, Darcy. Well, now that we're all caught up, everyone's head bowed instantaneously. I hastily lowered my head as well to join in the hushed whispers. Let us eat. On my plate were 2 thick slices of bread, far thicker than I'd ever been given in my cell. Oh, poor thing. There was some kind of boiled meat and a crumbly hunk of white cheese. I glanced around. Everyone was already digging in with their fingers. I followed suit, starting with the bread. It was light and fluffy with a crisp crust. A finger appeared above my plate suddenly. Duck! What? The meat. It's duck. With herbs. From your garden? That's right. I pinched off a piece and marveled at how juicy it was. I put it in my mouth and was overwhelmed. Wow. I helped. Yeah, you killed a duck. Well, yes. Because you cry if you have to do it. That's right. I raise them and name them and love them. You really shouldn't do that for starters. Name them? Yes, or love them. I'm good at names is a thing. That's true. And once I name something, it's impossible not to love it. What was this duck's name? I'd offer my compliments. If they were still alive, anyway. Catherine is tall. She is tall. No clue. She doesn't let me tell her which ones are being slaughtered. Hang on, but you still... Flora. Yes, she figures it out eventually when she checks in on the animals. Look, it makes sense. How does it make sense, Darcy? I'm going to be a little sad about it no matter what, but I can't stop it from happening. But I can put it off so I'm not sad about it at lunch, which is a horrible time to be sad. Does knowing you're going to be sad later not make you sad now? Nope. Why? Because the duck tastes good. Nobody seemed to be able to argue with this logic. That's our Darcy. That's our Darcy. Everyone continued eating in silence for a moment. How do you tell the difference between animals? Knowledge? I shouted involuntarily all of a sudden as I felt a hand beneath the table tapping my knee. I looked over to my right at Marta, who smirked. She tapped my knee again as the others continued their conversation. What? Was she tapping Hedwig's knee? Is it difficult killing the ducks? Not really. They're not much of a match for me if I'm being honest. I suppose you have a knife in that situation. I assure you I could easily defeat a duck even without a knife. What about 2 ducks? Absolutely. 3? Again, definitely. I think you're all really overestimating how much damage a duck could do to me. I am an adult woman. The tapping on my knee continued. She, still smirking, tilted her head down, indicating I should look lower. I did, and saw that she was holding a handful of something. Understanding, finally, I held my hand out. She nodded and returned to her meal. What is it? Ducks can be really mean. Have you ever seen an angry duck? Yes. They don't love being killed, funnily enough. What, they can, see you coming? They know they're about to die? I don't have to ambush them if that's what you're wondering. They usually figure it out by the time I pick them up by the neck and put them on a chopping block, though. How would one sneakily attack a duck? Very easily, probably. They are ducks. But you don't attack them that way. This is insane duck discourse happening right now. Correct? Why not? Again, I feel like you are all severely overestimating the power of a single duck and underestimating me. A fully grown woman. How many ducks would it take before you think you'd lose? Now that's a question. I could defeat every duck. I'll fight them off one by one, or all 20 at once. It is simply not a problem for me. Every duck? In the world? Come on. I could defeat infinite ducks. This is cute too. They're small and have little necks. I could kill a duck by accident. You know what, actually, it seems like a very fun conversation, but it is also a bit ominous given that someone just died. And now they're talking about how Eustace can kill ducks, or that she is being underestimated. In this case, you would want to be overestimated, don't you think? Not overestimated, but you would want to lay low if you were the culprit. So I'm thinking what a Eustace could be, but so far, not feeling it. It simply doesn't require any measurable amount of my strength. You would get tired eventually. I would not. You're talking as if they're ants. I think it requires a little more energy to kill a duck than an insect. Especially if there were a lot of them at once. I would swing my arms. I would kick out my legs. A group of ducks would crumble immediately in a fight against me. Okay, now I'm thinking about you killing a lot of ducks, and it's making me really sad because I'm imagining you killing all the ducks I'm looking after with huge kicks and punches, and I love those ducks and I hate this conversation now. I'm sorry, Darcy. Didn't mean to upset you. We're speaking hypothetically here. I'm not gonna kill all your ducks. That's okay. Thank you, Eustace. He's not gonna kill them all at once, anyway. Just the ones we need for food. She's trying to get out of it. She thought we wouldn't notice. Oh. Hedwig? Madam? She stood up, holding her empty plate. I would like to see you in my office when you're finished eating. I didn't know what they were. What? No. Oh! Was she caught holding something inappropriate? I just stuck my hand out. I beg your pardon? Oh, nothing. Silence. They're just dried apples, dear. Oh. What? Come on, Marta, give me some too. Absolutely not. You've been a little cunt lately. What? Can I say that? Marta. Roan. Garchsnipe. Ronian. I'll be honest, I have no idea what these words are. Don't come at me. That's enough. The superior looked irritated. Flora and Marta looked as if they were having a grand old time. Hedwig, I'd just like to speak with you privately about your new duties as chronicler. Now that you're feeling better. Oh, yes, of course. My goodness, Hedwig is extremely relatable in that she had a very awkward introduction to everyone, and then she misunderstood and thought that the superior is trying to that the superior caught her in a bad situation. It's super relatable. I hate this. I hate this in a good way. Thank you. One of the others will show you where my office is when you're ready. She strode out of the room magnanimously. Take your time. Enjoy the rest of your luncheon. I started nibbling on some cheese. Everyone was watching me. I'm happy to share the apples, if you'd all like. There was a dull roar of agreement from everyone in her room. All except for Angela, who had been pretending to ignore everyone for the entire meal. Aww. I broke up the handful of dried fruits into 2 piles and passed to either side of me, keeping 1 piece for myself. Thank ye kindly. So now that the ma'am is gone, do tell us about yourself. I realized that even now, after I had no more candied fruits to give, everyone in the room was staring at me with intense interest. Oh, well, I don't know what I could say that I didn't say this morning. What did you say this morning? I must admit, wiping up your sick has overridden any memory of what you said prior. Sorry. Catherine shrugged, smirking. Margaret waved a hand. it gave us a chance to... Ow! Oh, what did they do? A chance to reflect. What if it's... Okay. Two things. It could be that they are the murderers and they had a chance to clean up stuff and whatnot, but Margaret doesn't seem like the person to slip up. And so maybe it's more like they were doing some stupid shit in the... What's that place even called? I forgot already. But in that area anyway. And yeah, something that they can't share. So something a bit more innocuous than murder, for sure. On the nature of servitude to God. And so on. I could see Angela raising one of her eyebrows out of the corner of my eye. Anyway, Hedwig is adapting wonderfully. She has some trouble with the stairs, but got the hang of them quickly. I imagine you probably have some trouble with stairs if you've been locked in a little room for that long. Yes, whereas we've all been locked in a big room, aren't we? With each other for company. Locked is a strong word, Catherine. You're right as usual. We aren't locked in. The hill is more of a moat. Honestly. You sound just like Flora sometimes. Or a hill. I'm not sure this metaphor is necessary. Metaphor? That's a big word. As suspected, however, from a resident librarian come butcher. On the subject of ducks, I was merely speaking in hypotheticals. Ooh, that's another good word. What does hypothetical mean, Eustace? I regret saying anything. I'm being earnest. Oh, that was cute. It means mind control. You're thinking of hypnosis. 3 for 3. A loud jeer went up around the table. Darcy, let me out, please. Eustace scooted her chair back with a loud squeak and stormed out of the room. Oh, come on, Eustace. Eustace, please come back. Perhaps this is rich of me to say, but I think you lot don't know when to lay off sometimes. I do not understand in this case. 1 minute she is talking about fighting ducks, but now she is upset we are joking about fancy words. Bad timing, I think. She's doing her best, but she's quite torn up. We all are. It's horrible. Hedwig, dear. If you don't know, I know. As I said, she was joking about killing ducks. I would have thought that she would have been worse than joking about words. That would have been worse. You're young. It's never the obvious things that remind some folk of grief past. Eustace is the librarian and... Catherine was the chronicler, of course. Peas in a pod they were. Oh, they were close, too. Not just them. We all miss her very much. It isn't a competition. Laura looked as if she was about to mouth off in response, but at that moment... Eustace re-entered the room carrying a large wooden bowl. Off? What the hell happened in here? We were wondering where you gotten off to. We were worried you were upset. Eustace said nothing as she walked to the table with the bowl, smiling gently. That's playing dirty, Eustace. I have no idea what you're talking about. I forgot I made this to celebrate our newcomer, that's all. I believe you. Maybe she was teasing everyone too. Gay lead? After you've all had candied apple? Goodness. Hehe. What's Gaylead?
Pudding.
Eustace ladled out the sweet-smelling treat onto everyone's plates. Oh. When it was Angela's turn to be offered some, she pushed her chair back and stood up. Oh no. Jolting the entire table forward and causing everyone's plates to wobble. Darcy and Moira had to hold onto their dishes to keep them from spilling over onto their robes. Is everything all right, Angela? No. With a glare that seemed to lock with every pair of eyes in her room, Angela stalked out of the rectory hall. I doubt she'll be coming back with pudding. Ooh. I was in considerably higher spirits after eating. I excused myself after finishing the Gaylead. I got a little self-conscious about how long I was taking to meet the superior. Even though there had been a few awkward moments, I didn't really want the conversation to end. Still, feeling like I should be responsible and punctual, I excused myself partway through a continued discussion about what animals Eustace could best in hand-to-hand combat. Darcy helpfully volunteered to show me to the office. It was on the first floor. Further down the hallway, she'd taken me down on the way to the kitchen and bath. Here you go. Thank you. And thank you again for the mint as well. And for showing me around before. Oh, and I helped cook lunch. Oh, well, thank you for that as well. I didn't make all of it, but enough that it's sad to not hear a thank you from the others and nice to hear it from you. Well, in I go. In you go. Enter. I opened the door and slipped inside. Darcy watched me with a big grin still plastered to her face. The superior's office was small, but meticulously kept. It was rather plush compared to the rest of the rooms I'd seen so far. A grand window looked out into the garden, and there was a door off to the left that I presumed to lead to a private bedchamber. The superior herself sat at a thick oaken desk in a rather ornate chair. How are you feeling? Much better, thank you. Good. How has your morning fared? Setting aside your little fainting spell? I rummaged around in recent memory for a reassuring anecdote. Oh, it has been an interesting experience. I managed to run straight into Sister Angela on the way into the chapel. And Sister Catherine introduced me to Sister Margaret. Aha! Those two. Try not to let them rope you into any schemes. No, of course. They are both incredibly adept at sneaking around. Both of them have managed to scare me witless with their creeping. I'm relieved that I'm not alone then. Indeed. Do you have any leads yet? Oh, jumping straight into it, huh? Leads? Any idea who could have killed Catherine yet? Any hint at all? Anything to follow up on? No. That is a pity. Mother Superior, I have been out of myself for all of 6 hours, if that. For much of that time I was ill, and then asleep, and then alone in a bathtub. What clues could you possibly expect me to have already? Defiant, is she? Did you really think someone would slip up and tell me over luncheon? No. I suppose I shouldn't have counted on anything quite so miraculous happening. She turned around and stepped towards the large window. Some thorny bushes were growing underneath, and a few trees dotted the path between a building and the garden. Light and shadow danced across her habit as she paced back and forth slowly. I don't even know how Catherine died. I've heard some mournful whispers from the sisters I've met, but I haven't a clue as to what actually happened. When did she pass? How? Where is her body? Sister Catherine was found in a cloister on the first morning of November. She was laying on her back with a sword, a whole sword, plunged into the earth just above her. Her head had been cut off and arranged in her hands. Now this is not a crime of passion, not at all. This is the kind of murder that is premeditated and is done to show something. Very much to... It's a display, definitely a display, a message to send out to others. But the question here is it Catherine who was supposed to be it? Did they have others in mind? Or did the culprit specifically chose Catherine? It was ghoulish. So that's what was in the grass. What? I thought it was a crucifix. Oh. Yes. No one, least of all me, could bear to remove it. It's become something of a monument to Catherine, I suppose. Rather grim. A bloodied sword feels like an awful way to remember someone. You'll get no argument from me, but these women are strange sometimes. That would be true regardless of my suspicions. That said, the blade is actually clean. Now that's another hint. It was clean even when we found it. It was? Yes. Angela found the stable boy hiding in the yard without a speck of blood on him, but Sister Darcy discovered his cloak elsewhere. Actually, if this is classic mystery, let me just say this, I might think it's actually Catherine who killed herself. Well, no, she would have to have an accomplice to lay out the things after she died. Or maybe there is actually a way to go about it. Hard to say right now, but the image that popped into my mind is mostly one that includes it's actually Catherine who did it herself, with an accomplice. Because she has a message, perhaps a message to the monastery or to God or to the religion, to church, whatever it is. Because, I think something does tie back to the War of Roses. So, it was quite tarnished, and Angela surmised that he'd used it to wipe down a blade before attempting to flee. A sound theory at the time. I have my doubts now, though. Who found the body? Sister Charity on one of her morning walks. The round woman you met at lunch. Don't call someone round. I don't mean it as an insult. Oh, go up, thou bald one. What? So, what happened with Catherine's body? I suppose that go up, thou bald one is more like a descriptive rather than an insult, right? What happened with Catherine's body? If you're hoping to play surgeon and examine her for clues, I'm afraid she's already been interred. I understand. This was actually a small relief. As determined as I was to find Catherine's killer and help bring them to justice, a dead body was the last thing I wanted to see. Where was she buried? The cemetery is a short hike from here on the hill. I can have one of the sisters show you there, should you feel the need to visit. Say a few words. Not that you could have known her, I suppose. What a great idea. What if the murderer, since you don't believe it was a suspicious boy with blood on his shirt, decides to off me as well? Perhaps while taking me on a pleasant hike, alone, up to this cemetery? I must say, It feels rather difficult involving myself with the others when you've directed me to spy on them. You make it sound so ugly. We are seeking justice. I had no choice in the matter. I'm sticking my neck out based on your intuition. Let's not fight about it. What's done is done. You are no longer an anchoress. You are free to do whatever you wish once the killer is captured. I was perfectly happy where I was. Don't be ridiculous. You might as well have been a prisoner. If that were so, I'd have been your prisoner. I really, truly do not want to fight about this. Yes, so you keep saying every time I question something. Oh, stop. Giving me this insolence. By God, where is the awkward little titmouse who introduced herself to service this morning? She's standing in front of you, rather upset about the situations she's been thrust into. You're not but a bratty child. A woman, a member of our family, had her bloody head cut off, and all you can think about is your own comfort. These people are not my family. You, least of all. I am your superior. I am your abbess. You are my charge, and you will do as I say. I have been as accommodating and kind as I possibly can in asking for your assistance, but make no mistake. I do not need to ask, nor will I in future, if I require something of you. Vad ad formicam o pigger et considera vias is it disc sapientium. Oh goodness, it's just a bunch of everything. I am neither ant nor sluggard, Abbess. I will respect your wishes as my superior, but I am not a soldier awaiting commands. Hehe. Are you surprised? I must admit, I surprised myself at this moment as well. I am surprised. I'm really surprised. Maybe my humors were still off-kilter. Maybe I was tired of feeling meek and embarrassed all morning. Perhaps I, free for myself for the first time in many years, was trying out new behaviors to see how they fit me the way one tries on a new cloak at the market. Or maybe, just maybe, it was something else. Now that something else is quite ominous. Do you think Darcy could have been right when she said that this place was haunted? Hehehe. I am sorry. Once again, I am being unfair. Please try to understand. I have so much love for this place. These halls are my responsibility, and if it all falls apart, I don't know what I'd do. I don't know if she is doing this because she loves the place or it's because she has a job to do. If you truly believe the stable boy did not do it, I could so easily throw him to the wolves. Don't you see? I do not mean to throw you to them in his place. I mean to take the more difficult path here. I would rather stake my reputation on seeking the truth than condemn an innocent boy for my own gain. It would not be right. I understand. I wish I could feel myself becoming smaller. Meeker again. Deflating like an empty water skin. If you want me to start truly investigating things, I need somewhere to start. I can't just hope to stumble into the answer. May I speak with the accused? All of them are the accused. The stable boy in the hospital. Oh, okay, that accused. An obvious but nonetheless excellent idea. I felt so trapped by my position leading the convent, despite this investigation ultimately being my responsibility. I didn't dare think of involving myself so directly, but you could speak with him. I will take you to the hospitalum. In secret, of course. I'll arrange a time and send for you under the pretense of a more chronicler business. I would still pose my first question to you again, however. Think hard. Has anything stuck out as particularly unusual to you? Everything is unusual to me. Oh, she's being smart now. I was fighting back tears now. Meek. Everything. Did Catherine tell you I barely made it down the stairs this morning? In my mind, I knew what stairs were, but I can't remember if I'd actually ever walked up or down any before today. It will take some time to adjust. I'm not sure if I will ever fully adjust. Have faith. If I could offer one small observation at least, what would it be? If there's anything I find strange, it's how calm everyone seems. Oh, that's a very good observation. So you felt it too. I'm glad it was not just my own superstition. Everyone seems happy. Well, happy except Moira. Especially at luncheon. They were joking, laughing. I suppose I'd have no way of truly knowing, but the congregation certainly isn't behaving the way I'd expect them to, knowing one of them just died. It's true, actually that's true. And one thing that comes to mind is, just like I've said before, that perhaps Catherine with a C killed herself as a message to someone. It's also likely that the other sisters actually took part in it, and all of them are actually accomplices. And the way they grieve Catherine might be more similar to how someone grieves a person that passed away, rather than someone who was murdered in a cruel act or in cruel ways. It is odd, isn't it? Yes, I suppose. Your instincts weren't wrong in asking for my help. I changed the subject quickly. I did not want the superior to think I was happy with her choice and my situation. God forbid. Oh, a question. Is it true that the hours are compressed here? A morning service and an evening office that encompasses every office? Yes. That is fairly standard in most monastic communities nowadays. Why didn't you tell me that? My cell wasn't far away. You knew how to use stairs. Oh. The bishop forbade it. Why? Because an anchorite's entire purpose is to do the things normal people cannot. She was right. I tensed and untensed my hands a few times, unsure what to do with myself. I was to bear burdens no one else was expected to, all alone in there. You thought otherwise? I don't know. I suppose I never really considered it. I just read scripture and theology all the time. I had an idea in my mind of what an abbey was supposed to look like, and I thought even if my role was different, everyone else's would be at least similar. Things are very different when you have responsibilities. The day-to-day tasks of earthly life, as much as the monastery reduces them to their basics, are still quite time-consuming. Well, I still think that Hedwig's role is the most horrible one out of all of theirs. Animals must be tended to, food must be grown and prepared, work arises and must be done. Besides, you had your own work to do. You had books to copy, scripture to commit to memory, prayers for the townspeople to amplify, What? You were given prayers to save our people. Written prayers. That was one of your core duties. I was given no such thing. Oh, what? Now is a very poor time for jokes. I am being completely serious. I have no idea what you're talking about. I copied books, I prayed the hours. I was never given anything else to pray for, save the occasional visitor to the hedgehog's prayers. She gave me a piercing, icy glare. This is one of those things, right? Perhaps someone took the paper on the written prayers away, just like how the faucet isn't working, or how there's a demon clawing at her door every night. Then, as if a set of strings holding her upright had been cut, she collapsed into her chair. I don't understand. We are very far away from the nearest village or town here. Nonetheless, we are here and we serve the people of Lumbero and their needs. Offer them help with their prayers. Of course. I would have happily done so if I'd received any. Because we're up on this hill. We're sent supplies from the village. Things we can't grow ourselves, essentials, the occasional holiday luxuries, and so on. She reached down to a drawer under her desk, pulling out 2 small cups and a carafe. She uncorked the container and poured some dark liquid into both cups. Like liquor? Wine? Wine. Drink up. She slid one of the cups towards me with her own. I took it gingerly. I had of course had wine before, but this smelled different. This is nicer than anything you've had brought to you, I'd wager. One of the aforementioned occasional luxuries. Drink it. Please. I braved a sip. She was right. It was different. For one thing, it was quite strong. The superior took a big swig of hers and continued. When you were brought here and made to take the vows, one of the first things that crossed my mind was how inconvenient it would be to expect the people of the village to trek up here every time they needed spiritual aid. Why, it'd be positively cruel to make children walk all the way to the ensues themselves. Old men with walking sticks. You get the picture. And since we are all the way up here, on this lonely hill, I thought, why, I know what would make things easier. I offered the townspeople a simple idea. They're an educated sort down there, you see. Not like us, or, well... She waved her cup towards the door. More than them. Oh man. So I told the people to write their prayers down. Give them to the young man who brings our supplies. We'll sort through them and pass them on to the ensues here. And did they? I saw the envelopes, yes. Many times. I don't understand. The abbess took a final pull from her cup and slammed it back onto the desk. Giving those letters to you was Catherine's responsibility. Oh? I knew it! Catherine is involved in something. Is she? I feel like that's the case. I didn't know what to say. The woman who had come to the hedgehog so many times, who had seemed so interested in me and my way of life, had been hiding an entire function of my job from me? Why? It made no sense. The already foggy picture I had of Catherine in my mind was losing definition. I suppose I could start by just asking the others about Catherine. Be careful. That could raise suspicions rather quickly. Well, I'm taking over her old role. That's a good excuse. It would make sense to everyone if I asked about her, I think. I should know the size of the shoes I'm meant to fill. As long as you're careful to frame it that way. Of course. I just don't understand. Why would Catherine withhold my letters? The superior let out a heavy sigh and brought a hand to her temple. She looked as if she'd aged 5 years over the course of this conversation. I don't know. The more I hear, the less I understand. That's exactly how I feel. I know this is the right thing to do. But I was not expecting things to get this tangled quite so quickly. I will do my best to untangle things, Abbess. I tried my utmost to sound authoritative. Maybe I really was trying out new personalities. The superior gave me a tired smile in response. Bless you. Take a wander around the grounds and talk with some of the sisters. They should be taking most of the rest of the day for their work, but I'm sure they'll make time to chat. I gave a little bow of my head and turned to leave through the large oaken door. I stepped out into the empty hallway. I had no idea where to start looking for people, but I realized now was as a decent of a time as any to explore the Abbey and get my bearings. Oh, truth be told, I had no idea how huge this place actually was when I was in my cell. I had a few diagrams of monasteries and cathedrals in my books, but those were just little lines on a page. Now that I was actually wandering around an abbey myself, one that seemed to eschew the careful layouts I had read about, at that, I found myself marveling at the tiniest things. Most of the stonework was quite old. I had noticed that some walls lining the path to the bath and kitchen were in disrepair. I didn't quite know how to describe it, but it wasn't just dilapidation. Some parts of this place just looked older. Interesting. Maybe it really was an older building at first that was then built, made new? Something like that. Maybe there's a scary, hidden, haunted past about the original building. Older, squared off, less detailed. The chapel, for instance, while certainly very tall inside, felt very simple. A big box, really. But as I walked around the grounds, I noticed that certain sections of the abbey were meticulously detailed. There were little flourishes on the corners of the stonework. Bits and pieces that didn't seem to serve any particular function, but certainly caught the eye. And then I thought, maybe that was the function. I hadn't seen many other buildings before, but I could immediately spot the difference between parts of the monastery. I reached for a comparison I could make. I connected it to books, of course. Some parts of the abbey felt like they had been built the way the Old Testament had been translated. Functional, blunt, constructed out of the bare necessities to make their point immediately. In the story of Elisha I was relaying earlier, the distance between the bears tearing those children apart and Elisha arriving in Bethel is 2 lines or so. Other parts of the abbey were more majestic, pretty. Perhaps there's a structural reason for the way things look, but the look is what draws you in. You can gaze at it and ponder what it means, rather than understanding its purpose immediately. Maybe it's just decorative. Maybe it's decorative and functional. Or perhaps the decoration is the function. It's long-winded and aesthetically interesting, like something Akinas wrote. Romanesque versus Gothic. Well, yes, that was exactly what I was getting to. I apologize for rambling. I'm trying to illustrate how my mind was piecing my new world together after being locked in a room for years and years. Hehe. I suppose I'm the Aquinas between the two of us, aren't I? Not in talent by God, but certainly in method. That's okay. You can be Roman and I'll be Gothic. I took a turn I hadn't made before down some stairs. I trod carefully, still embarrassed about my little adventure with Catherine that morning. I realized I was stepping into the undercroft, which meant the cellars must be nearby. I wandered through the croft until I heard voices echoing around. They sounded strained. I followed them until I spotted barrels. Lots and lots of barrels. I walked through the rows of casks in awe. This was a lot of wine. I could see 2 figures ahead of me. Oh. Hello, Hedwig. Flora doesn't want to say anything. Hello, you two. Did Martha put you on cellar duty? Oh, no. I just came down here to talk to Flora. I was on cellar duty. Is everything alright? Oh, everything is just fine. We were just talking about chess. Oh, chess again. This is giving me flashbacks. I am very competitive and sometimes I just raise my voice, I suppose. Yeah. Are you good at chess, Hedwig? I've never played, actually. Of course. What a silly question for me to ask. Who would you have played against? That's right. You can play chess against yourself. Where is the fun in that? Get to be alone for starters. Sounds like Flora wants to be the anchoress instead. Bah. No. That is such a waste of time. There is no romance in that. Romance? The thrill of competition. The heat of battle. Chivalry requires spectatorship. To do battle not with swords, but with wits. Romance takes 2. Wow, you certainly do get passionate about chess. I can romance myself just fine. I do it all the time. Oh goodness. Laura! Now you are just disrespecting the game. I don't understand. Well, anyway, Flora, I still demand a rematch. You will face me on the field of battle of the mind, and I will prove to you that your last victory was but a fluke. Fine. Whatever. If it'll get you out of my face. Tonight, we duel. Adela lifted up an imaginary sword, then twirled it and sheathed it at her side. Okay. Sure. Bye. Goodbye, my friends. If you are interested, Hedwig, I will teach you how to play one day. All you have to do is ask. She gave me a smile and left down a long passage of barrels. Come to think of it, I might have an Alexander Neckham book that mentions I don't care. Right. I suppose that's something I could tell Adela sometime. What do you want? Oh, nothing. Just making the rounds. Saying hello to everyone you know. So this is, what, your 3rd introduction? sorry. Flora huffed and leaned against the casts lined up along the back wall. Look, I'm sure you're really nice or whatever, but I don't volunteer down here for the conversation, understand? You like to work alone. Finally, someone understands. Well, I will be working alone a lot too, I think. So do you have any advice? Advice. Yes. Advice for working alone? Certainly. Well, for starters, you need to be by yourself. Alright? And then once I'm by myself, I like to do my work. Why are you asking me for advice anyway? Aren't you like twice my age? Oh no. I am barely a decade your senior. I'll have you know. So how old is Hedwig? That would mean Hedwig is actually closer to 30 than 20. Close enough. Marta had been right. I tried to change the subject to maintain composure. This is certainly a lot of wine. Yes, as you can see, I have a lot of work to do. Alone. Is the wine here good? I wouldn't know. I haven't gotten to try any. This batch will be the first the Superior has allowed me to taste. We must have a large vineyard nearby. These aren't all ours. Oh, really? Where are the other casks from? Dunno. Some rich guy, probably. Maybe it's the rich guy from before. Maybe this is a good environment for wine storage. Good for bringing out the flavor or whatever. I see. Well, I shall leave you to it then. Thank you. It was nice chatting with you. Yeah, nice meeting you for the third time. I turned away to leave. I'd had just about enough of that conversation. I had made it halfway back through the rows of barrels when I heard Flora called out to me. Why did you want Catherine II's job so bad? I didn't. Really? Yes. I promise. I turned to look at her. She was eyeing me up and down. I tried to give her as defiant a stare as I could muster in return. Weird way of showing it. Breaking a 20-year vow to take a dead woman's work. I wanted to tell her about Catherine's visits to my window. I wanted to tell her about how the Superior had practically forced me to do this. I wanted to tell her that I was trying to help heal the wound that was making her act this way towards me. But I didn't. I couldn't. If you want to put it that way, sure feels like that is the way it is. How I'm putting it has nothing to do with it. For Hedwig, but also for these women, I guess. Maybe I was wrong. It does seem like they do miss Catherine. I don't know. I really don't know still. So it must seem. With that, I turned around again and left the Undercroft. I wandered around the halls for a bit, trying to gather my thoughts. Adela was certainly passionate about chess. But was that really what the conversation I had walked in on had been about? Surely Adela had been here long enough to know Flora didn't like being bothered. She had made that clear to me immediately after all. It must have been something more important than that. No, this wasn't going to work if I started looking for reasons to suspect everyone every time I encountered them. I was going to need to strike a careful balance between searching for the answers and letting them come to me slowly. I'd go mad otherwise. Well, more mad. Hehe. Oh no. She has been making this kind of comments recently about, pretending to be an anchoress and whatnot. I'm a bit worried. I stepped onto the outside path that led past the kitchen. I walked past the rectory where we'd all met for luncheon. I followed a little path around the grounds. Eventually, I came to the side of the chapel. I stood back and gazed at the building, taking it all in. There was a pile of rubble next to the chapel, a blemish on an otherwise picturesque scene. Bits of splintered wood stuck out at odd angles, but they were rotted through. The stone itself was quite weathered as well. It looked perhaps as if an extension of the church had been planned but forgotten. Suddenly, out of the corner of my eye, I noticed movement. Oh no, please no. Oh, she scared me. She really scared me. My heart really jumped out of my chest because I thought a ghost was going to materialize right in front of me. I'm not kidding, I really felt frightened. Oh, hello there. Ah, Sister Margaret. I was just taking a stroll around the grounds. That's a good way to pass the time. Lots of nook and crannies to explore around here. Yes, it certainly seems it. I find myself quite overwhelmed. I think I might know most of the interesting passages and doors and whatnot around here. It's a little boggling. So, she would know of secret passages to lead everyone in and out of, or perhaps to kill someone. Maybe I should follow Hedwig's lead and not speculate so much. But honestly, I doubt anyone here knows every little secret. If you find anything interesting, let me know. We can compare notes. I will. What's your favorite? Haha. I don't think I know you well enough to share that just yet. Oh, nothing against you. We can work up to my favorite. I can tell you my second favorite if you like. Go on then. If you ever get hungry in the middle of the night, there's a secret way into the stores through the cellar. Really? Where? Now, where's the fun in that? Fair enough, I suppose. It'll mean more if you find it yourself. Exploring this place is very enriching. You'll have a great time figuring it out, I promise. I'll keep that in mind. By the way, at luncheon, I will like nothing more than to skip over whatever topic you were hoping to reach here. What topic? Ask me what my favorite psalm is. Or if I play any instruments. Anything else. Do you play any instruments? I'm not too shabby at the lute, now that you mention it. Wow! I've never played any instruments. I imagine that's obvious, come to think of it. You should try it. Catherine would have shoved one into your hands the minute you stepped out of your cell if she was still here, I'd wager. Really now? That's more or less how it was for me when I got here. Hardly a minute after having my hair shorn, she was asking me all kinds of things. What I liked to do, what I wanted out of life. Nobody got past her without trying something new. She sounds like she was very inspirational. She certainly had the stars in her eyes. May she rest in peace. May she rest in peace. Well, this has been as pleasant as it's been maudlin. I wish I knew what that was. I'll speak to you later, Hedwig. Until next time, Margaret. She gave me a quick bow of the head and continued off down towards the path I had come from. After taking another good look at the chapel, I looped around behind it. There I could see rows upon rows of bushes and hedges, flower beds and vegetables. There were vines crawling up the walls of the buildings surrounding the vast network of plants. This was Darcy's domain then. In fact, I could see her and Eustace beside the door to what looked like a large shed or some sort of hall. I picked up my pace. At the very least, these two would be nicer to me than Flora was. Or so I thought. Eustace looked slightly irritated when she noticed me. She stood up and brushed herself off as I approached. Hello, I wanted to say thank you for the gay... Now is not a great time. What? Is something wrong? No, just... I'm busy. I glanced at Darcy. I realized she was looking even more... out there than usual. Is she okay? Yes. As long as I'm watching her anyway. What is she... Darcy was pacing around in a small circle. Her head was tilted skyward and she looked blissful. She's having a vision. Vision? She's... what? Rows of bookshelves. Rows and rows of bookshelves. Her eyes glowed too. Rows and rows and rows of bookshelves. Hold on. Eustace dipped down to pick up a small ledger and quill she's been sitting with. The reader chooses a book. Oh, she speaks in a different font now. It is a book the reader has not read before. The reader chooses a book and opens the book. What's in a book, Darcy? Ink lashes like flame, and they hurt the reader so. But the reader pays no mind. Readers read and read the reader does. Until the reader's eyes are burned. Oh, I wonder if this is talking about us reading this, since it's, digital, and so the ink is digital and bright like flames and burns our eyes. That might be reaching, actually. Until every page is turned. Readers read and read the reader does. Yes. Keep going. Stay with me, Darcy. How can you be so calm about this? She's had this one before. Readers read and others ask. We ask readers what they read. What if they read what we need? Reading makes one wise indeed. Readers read and others ask. Even if the flames do lash. Eustace scribbled all of this down. She seemed perfectly collected. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. All of a sudden, Darcy stopped walking in her little circle. She began to wobble and tears started rolling down her cheeks. Her blissful smile was gone. This is new. What do you see now, Darcy? What's happening? Fire. Yes, flames. You've said that already. Anything else? Goat. Fire. Goat. Fire goat. Forgot. I forgot what I was talking about. Just another one of your visions. I'd say that tincture was a success. Oh, good. She drank something weird now? Was it a nice one? It's hard to tell. She touched her face and looked slightly surprised by how damp her cheeks were. Was I crying because I saw the face of God and it was beautiful? Or was I crying because it was bad? We'll talk about it later. Darcy, how long have you been having visions? For a long time. We really need to be going. Yeah, I need to go sit down for a bit after having one of my vision tinctures, or everyone says I stay too odd. So bye, I'll talk to you when I'm less odd. Eustace took Darcy by the arm and coaxed her back towards the main building of the Abbey. I stood there, stunned. I had of course read about mystics, but I'd never dreamed that I would meet one, let alone see one in the middle of having a vision. I must admit that I had not pictured Darcy as being quite so close to God as that. It was a little humbling. Then again, if Margaret Campy could be so gifted, why couldn't Darcy? I spent some time alone in the garden. I could see rows of carrots, juicy-looking squashes, and plump parsnips. There were plenty of other things I didn't recognize too. I realized just how limited my diet had been in my cell. And I salivated at the thought of trying some new food. The flower beds were quite beautiful, and a mix of pleasant smells filled the air. I took a little stroll through the flower bushes. There were all manner of colors and shapes that I couldn't identify. I stopped to smell a few, and they were all lovely. There was one awkward, spindly-looking bush at the end of one of the hedgerows that looked out of place. It was slightly skeletal. The leaves looked too big for the plant. It drooped a little. As I got closer, I realized there were little berries on the ends of the flowers. Against all better judgment, I reached a hand out, curious to see what they tasted like. No, what if it's poisonous? Oh, don't touch that. Goodness, you made me jump. Sorry. I wondered if you were still in the garden and came looking for you. I'm sure it's all very exciting, but don't go touching things willy-nilly. That was very rude of me. I apologize. It's fine. Just don't touch that plant, whatever you do. Is it poisonous? Extremely. Why on earth is it here? I'm no botanist, so I can't explain it properly, but the short of it is that it's useful in small doses. How on earth could poison be useful? Don't tell me that's what Darcy has been taking. Well, Moira says it can be used to make a good painkiller for one thing. It was Catherine the first who begged Darcy to start penning it, though. Apparently, it's all the rage in Italy. You drop a little bit of that extract in your eyes to make them look bigger, I suppose. Shinier. Oh, that does not sound good. That's absurd. You won't get any argument from me, but that's why it's here. Darcy really does a wonderful job with this garden. She's brilliant. Darcy's our little Hildegard. Von Bingen. Foreign names. Sorry, is that someone you... Oh no, don't worry. I've read Hildegard. That makes sense. An expert with plans and a real visionary. Darcy's like her in several ways. That's right. Is she doing well after all that? She's fine. She tries to have them on purpose. She has all sorts of different concoctions she's been tinkering with to try and enhance her and understand her visions for many years. That's incredible. It's certainly interesting. Did Darcy know Catherine very well? Catherine the Second, you mean? Yes, she thought Darcy was a genius. How nice. Catherine the Second had a way of making everyone feel special. Sometimes to a fault, if you ask me. She encouraged everyone to try new things to see if they had any hidden talents. That pudding you made for luncheon was very nice, by the way. Was that... Oh no, that recipe's all me. Well, all me and my books. I see. Well, it was delicious. I'm glad. Anyway, my point is, Catherine II was someone who couldn't leave well enough alone. She had many admirable traits. I miss her dearly. But it's true. I don't follow. Eustace stared at me pointedly from behind her large glasses. Be careful, Hedwig. What? What? What do you mean? What's true? What's true? That she's jealous of Catherine? Or something else? With that, she turned on her heel and left the garden. Beads of cold sweat were building on my forehead. I felt knocked entirely off balance. After a few moments of stunned silence, I staggered back through the flower beds towards the Abbey. Oh, I hate this sound. It was a little chilly outside now. It was getting later in the afternoon, and I presumed the dinner bell would be ringing at any moment. Eustace's words were still bouncing around in my head. I hoped that a meal might straighten me out the way Luncheon had earlier in that day. As I walked through the cloister, I remembered what the superior had said about the sword being left as something of a monument to Catherine. Oh, that sword over there. Oh. I stepped onto the cloister grass and walked up to the sword, somewhat apprehensively. Be careful, Hedwig. What had she meant? Did she know? Oh, I'm very scared right now. Oh, the sword was indeed clean. It looked well weathered, but there was no blood upon the blade. I dared not touch it, but I could tell the edges were still decently sharp. Be careful, Hedwig. How many of them knew? If Eustace suspected I was up to something, surely she would tell the others. The secret might already be out there. I heard a rustle of wings above me. I jerked my head up to see. Oh, cloaked in shadow, the barest glint of eyes. Oh, I'm scared, very scared. Oh, please no. They disappeared into the shadows as soon as I was sure they were there. Oh, I'm scared. I'm terrified. I scurried away from the sword, feeling a sudden rush of bravery. I started running towards the nearest staircase that might lead me to whoever had been watching me. Oh, and collided directly with Angela. I am so sorry. There is no running in the halls. To be no running. Did the superior not tell you that? No. I really am sorry. What are you in such a hurry for anyway? I was in a cloister, and I thought I saw someone watching me, so I was running to see who it was. What on earth for? Usually, the first person you bump into is the person that was watching you. To see, I don't know if they wanted to talk to me, perhaps? Of course. No one here seems to be able to resist your riveting conversation skills, I've noticed. That was a jab. What an exciting first day you've had. Has it been fun? Being paraded around like a daughter the Duke is desperate to marry off. Spare me. I can see right through your little act. I don't know. I don't know. Well, I do. I know exactly why you've joined us all of a sudden. I'll take your silence as confirmation. You may have tricked the others, but I am no fool. If that's the case, then why haven't you told them? Because I do not care a whit what the others think. I just don't like meddlers, and I know a meddler when I see one. The superior may not care about how this place is run, but I do. I will not let her entrust this place to a complete outsider. Oh, what? I was at a total loss here. But at least now I could be honest in my confusion. You think I'm to become the next superior? I'm not even close to the most senior sister here. As if tradition matters here. Why else would you have been let free from your cell? Why else would you be taking meetings alone with her? I'm just learning to be the new chronicler. Yes, the superior seems to think chroniclers make good superior material. She is a fool, but a determined fool, I give her that. What if Catherine was supposed to be the next chronicler? I mean, superior. She cares a lot about this place. Clearly. Hence why she set a mouse loose in the kitchen. She stalked past me, turning her nose up. I stood there shaking with anger for a moment. I wheeled around as she reached the bottom of the stairs. Who killed Catherine? I know I shouldn't have asked so bluntly, but I felt confident enough in Angela's ignorance to barrel ahead. James Foreman, a nasty little stable hand who had his eyes on her ever since he started making deliveries to the Abbey. She rejected his advances, so he hacked her head off with a sword he carried in his cart for protection on the road. It was brutal, random, and obscene. Like most crimes are. I cannot believe that. You never met her. Why do you care? It is my job to care. Not yet, it isn't. I was fuming, but I did feel a twinge of satisfaction realizing that I thrown Angela off my real reason for being here. I knew she was wrong about Catherine, though. There were too many strange things going on, too much unsettling evidence to the contrary. Evidence like... well, I didn't actually have any evidence, did I? I just had whispers. Whispers telling me that something was very, very wrong here. I had agreed with the superior out of a mixture of obedience and pity, but now I was itching to find the truth and rub Angela's stuck-up face in it. Okay. We are gonna end here for today. Oh, that is a little creepy image. But yes, we're gonna end here for today. And honestly, so many things happened this episode because we had like luncheon was very fun. Everyone was being their little light-hearted self, and Eustace making jokes about defeating all the ducks in the world was very fun and made me feel less like I was in the middle of trying to solve a murder mystery. But yeah, Luncheon was very fun. And then the thing about what the superior said in her office regarding Catherine, you know, like how the Anchoress was supposed to have prayers from the townsfolk to pray for, but Catherine never delivered anything. And the last thing that Catherine wanted to deliver to her was actually like a playbook or a book or something along those lines, but it never made it to her. It could be that Catherine, with a C, was mixed up with some bad business, like the war that's currently going on between the two factions. But yeah, also Darcy having visions was wild. But then again, it may not really be visions. It's hard to say, but I'll take her word for it. Darcy is making like little potions for her to understand her visions more. I hope that one day we will come to know what those visions really mean. And afterwards, you know, we met Flora, we met the last one we met was Angela. Angela is a little suspicious. She definitely has a motive. maybe she wants to off Catherine because she's jealous of Catherine, but to be killed in such a horrendous manner, it's more like, it really makes me feel like it's more for a message than anything else. And maybe Catherine was just the most suitable victim. I can't wait to see the rest, what it was gonna be like. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!